ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the revolution, where today we'll be talking about the Rondo Econom pastry roller. So the Rondo Econom series has been manufactured for decades and is probably the single most recognisable pastry roller that you'll find throughout the UK in butchers and bakers alike. Its compact design is ideal for low to mid-level production environments where space is at a premium. Carrying the Rondo name, Swiss manufactured, built to last, and will take what most production environments will throw at it. Today we're going to look at everything from unpacking to setting up these very simple to use machines and how we can get the best out of them. We will also be doing a follow-up video to this showing how to change the belts. That's the only bit that's a little bit tricky. But for now, let's take a closer look at the Rondo Econom. Within the series you've got the STM513, occasionally I think there was a previous model for 503, and there's also the 613, which is the same machine but with longer tables. The tables on this one are about 700 long by 500 deep. The machine itself is about 900 deep, so maybe even a little bit more. So you're going to need a nice deep bench to mount it on. The front can overhang a little, but you obviously don't want anything where it's in a position to potentially fall, so do be conscious of that. This particular model is a single phase model and will operate off a standard 13 amp plug, 3-pin UK, or a 16 amp commando as required. Well, most companies that offer these machines will offer a curbside delivery or possibly an install and demonstration. But from watching this video you'll see if they're charging for an install and demonstration, it's probably not worth it, as the machines are so simple to use and understand anyway. The most difficult bit will be getting the machine up off the pallet and onto your bench. When you first receive the machine, it will arrive on a pallet, strapped down with a cardboard box over the top. You can simply cut the straps, lift the cardboard box off, which is unsecured, and remove that. You'll find the machine in place, shrink wrapped. Just cut away the shrink wrap and the machine is there for you to see. You will have, if it is a brand new machine, you will also have your manual and certificates of conformity. Remove those. You generally will find them in the flour tray. Once you've removed the shrink wrap and the box, there are two timber struts on the pallet. They are screwed down, but it is not necessary for you to remove these in the majority of cases. The machine can be lifted off them there just to prevent the machine moving forwards and backwards. My recommendation is that initially, if you lift the front of the machine and rotate it around 90 degrees and then do the same at the back, what you'll have to actually do is raise the machine up onto the two struts and they'll act like skids, allowing you and whomever to get your fingers underneath the machine quite easily in order to lift it. Do be aware the machine's about 70 to 75 kilos approximately. Given that most method statements within most corporate environments is lifting up to 25 kilos, it means that it is more than a two-person lift. If your risk assessments and method statements state more than 25 kilo or to whatever you feel comfortable with, then obviously you'll be fine. Two people can physically lift the machine. The back end of the machine is where the motor is, that is the heavier of the two ends. But do be aware, if you are lifting two people only, it is likely outside of most method statements. In order to get 3 people or 4 people on the machine, it's quite difficult because there's not lots of places to grab the machine. So one of the best things you could do is raise the machine on the pallet and put a timber across, obviously a sturdy timber, probably 2 to 3 inches in depth. Put that under the front of the machine and then one under the back, and obviously you can have a person at either end. and this assumes obviously that you don't have any other aids or lifting equipment. Once up and on the bench, you should have something that looks like this. Obviously you will need an authorised electrician to either hardwire the machine if that's what's required, or again it will operate off a 13 amp plug or a 16 amp commando type plug socket. That's the first thing you need to do. When you first receive the machine, the tables will be in the upright position. What you will see to get them down is a blue plastic catch on the side of one of the tables. If you take the weight of the table and just lift it up slightly, you'll be able then to move the guard, and then the table can be lowered, and the guard along with it. Obviously here we're a bit short of space, so I'm just going to talk you through with the one table down. The machine will not operate or action unless both tables are down and level, and that applies to the guards as well. There are safety catches in the machine that will tell the machine if the tables are not level, and therefore it will not turn on as required. Okay, if the machine is in operation and the guard is lifted at any time, it will immediately cut out. If you lift the guard up so far, it will lock in place, and in order to bring it back, you'll need to push the guard back and then lower it down. Okay, so it's time to tension up the belts. All you need to do when the machine arrives, these will be fully retracted, and you'll need to just bring them up and hand tight. Once you've done those finger tight, you want to be aiming to get them finger tight and also be round about the same sort of distance from the front and the back, which we are not far off, and then you would action the machine. Once the machine is operating, you'll see that the belt will either travel, hopefully we want the belt to stay true and stay running in the middle. If it comes forward quite a lot, or if it goes backwards quite a lot, we'll need to make an adjustment. If it comes towards the front, we're going to tighten the front tensioner, and if it moves towards the back, we're going to tighten the back tensioner. So basically, as a rule of thumb, you want to tension the side to which the belt is moving. Okay. Also, if you put a couple of kilos of pastry on there and go to action the machine, and the belt stays still, but the rollers are going, then the belt will need tensioning a little further in order to carry that paste through. Once you've done that, there's not much left to do but obviously operate the machine. Once you've got the belts tensioned up somewhere near, in order to be able to track them correctly, you'll need to action the machine. So obviously you would do the same to the opposing side in its downward position, and we would be wired up and connected to the electrical mains. At that point, we want to test the machine's direction and that everything is operating as it should. It's a very simple machine. There's a button on the left, a button on the right, a button on the top, and then our roller gap selection. So initially the roller gap selection is irrelevant. We just want to check that the machine is operating in the correct directions. Single phase or three phase, it doesn't really matter. What we want is if we press the left hand button, the machine should travel to the right. If we press the right hand button, the machine should travel to the left. In the case of a three phase connection, if it is not doing that and it is doing the opposing, you'll need to switch L1 and L2 around in order to achieve the correct direction. With single phase, obviously it's less likely to be going in the wrong direction. But the idea being that basically we are operating on pressing the button for the side that our pastry is loaded. So for example, we would place our pastry on the left hand side, we would press the left button to travel it towards the right hand side. If the pastry was loaded onto the right hand side, we'd action the right button to travel it towards the left hand side. and that is generally how it operates. Obviously, in every instance when you want the machine to stop, you can use the top button. It is not a twist release, it is just a general stop. Or alternatively, as we've said, you can lift the guard in order to stop the machine travelling as well. For the roller gap thickness, it operates from a 30mm down to 1/2 0. So it will go right down to 0. Obviously your paste will detail how thin you can actually go. There is a flour bin on the top for you to be plentiful with the flour as required, and there is also an adjustment stop here. So for example, most standard pie pastry is going to be about 3mm. So if we put it to 3mm, you simply pinch, travel and lock, and that's now locked in at 3mm. So if we're operating from 30, obviously we travel through, stop, bring it down, travel back, stop, travel down, until we get down to our 3mm locked position, and obviously that's going to keep everything nice and consistent. Another thing I'd like to talk about is the scraper blades. Scraper blades are important, they keep the rollers clean, and they also allow us to prevent the pastry from sticking to the rollers, and obviously things catching and snagging as we go through. These are the scraper blades here. This is the top scraper blade and the bottom scraper blade. They will need intermittent cleaning, and occasionally you might find that they will need to be replaced. Do ensure they are replaced in the same way that they are removed, and the top scraper is in fact on the top and the bottom is in fact on the bottom. There is a particular way that these will go, and they're done so by unlocking these hinges. That's the spring loaded hinges there, working nicely. So you'll see there's a cut out here and a cut out here. That's to allow travel of the belt and the seams, so that will give you an idea of how they will go. And it needs to be, I always look at it as forming a C shape with the hinge at the back. Okay, so the best way to do this is to load the top one in, push the bottom into position roughly, then you'll need to activate the spring hinge by pushing downwards. Clip, and the same on this side, and locking off the clip. And I don't know how well you saw that. Let's see if we can get a better look. Nope. And not really. If I pull the hinge back, you'll see there that the spring hinge has closed, so it needs pressure applying to that spring hinge to put it down, and then the clip goes back in place. Okay, general maintenance and common faults. So the belts can be removed, and I believe they are machine washable. They do look like canvas belts that Rondo supply. Obviously some machines that are supplied will be supplied with synthetic belts, and they can be wiped down. One thing to consider is there are many machines that will be similar to the Rondo. I know the Macpans and the smaller Rollmatics and things like that. They also will be very similar in setup and everything else, but obviously subtle differences, like I say, with synthetic belts against canvas belts. There are pros and cons to both. It depends what you're doing and what you need with regards to the type of belts, but these machines are supplied with these. So you can take those off on a regular basis, machine wash them, probably worth having a second pair to hand so that that can be rotated and rolled over as necessary. If you're doing vegan foods and meat product foods, you may be very well better off going for synthetic so that it's all easily disinfected and wiped clean. The negative with the synthetics is they do not stretch and they're more liable one day just to snap, so you don't get any sort of forewarning that they're going to fail. They're also a lot more expensive, but it is there as an option. So only other real issues that you'll see with these machines, again, if the scraper blades are regularly cleaned and those hinges over time, flour, fats and things like that, they might seize up and they might fail. You can change just the hinges and you can change just the blades. If it's an older machine, you won't be able to do that because the older scraper blades aren't exactly the same. You may be able to change the hinges on those, but likely the blades, if the blades become damaged, you're going to have to update the whole thing to a brand new blade setup. Contactors on the buttons. Everything's geared and designed towards keeping flour out, but over time it can obviously ingress into there. I mean, this is going to be years down the line, but you might find that one of the buttons starts to fail, or both of the buttons start to fail. They are easily swapped out and they're also low voltage, so it's not a major upset. If you've got a single phase machine and we just tap the button, it might not action completely, it might run slowly, or it might sort of judder. When it's a single phase machine, we need to press the button completely. You can't just bop it. It won't work. So if you do find that you're sort of bopping it and it's not really operating as it should, that's the reason why. Just stop the machine and then press the button again, and away you go. Okay, so that's the Econom. With this particular machine is the STM513, and this particular model is a single phase model. There are others in the range. They're an excellent series. Again, they've been available for decades and are probably the most popular within the UK, purely because the robust nature of the machine. You know you're getting a guaranteed machine for the good long-term foreseeable future from Rondo. Rondo are the best in class in the modern day. Historically, John Monks were an excellent machine and they are still available, but obviously they're not manufactured anymore. The Rollmatics are particularly good, so feel free to have a look around our website. Obviously you can ask any questions down below, and hopefully very shortly after this we'll be putting out a video on how to change the belts on a Rondo Econom. Something really that over the long term, because the machine will last a while, you're going to need to know. And again, it's probably applicable to a number of other machines, the Macpans, the small Rollmatics, and any machine where the tables cannot be removed as standard. So that should be coming soon. Thanks for your time, and we'll see you in the next one.